believe there was another question. He has the mic.
Just wanted to ask you a question. VCs traditionally have their own capital. So could you talk about maybe the comfortableness that you two established with the percentages? Because a lot of founders don't really know what percentage they're willing to give up. Could you talk about the percentage they should be willing to give up from both of you all perspectives since you actually invested? What made you all feel comfortable with the percentages and even as well giving up a spot on your board because that does give away power, you know?
You want me to go first? You know, there's a lot of different ways to raise capital, and early on, you shouldn't be giving up just straight percentages of your company. Typically, you would raise on a convertible note, which basically converts into equity when you raise a price round. So, you know, it's everyone watches Shark Tank and says, all right, I'm gonna go pitch this idea, and then someone's gonna say, I'm gonna take 40% of your company. That's not the way that it works. So, you know, you should be, you know, one, align yourself with an attorney. I think that's step one. Align yourself with an attorney that knows venture, not your cousin who's a real estate attorney, not your best friend who's a matrimonial or divorce attorney. That's one of the problems that I see in our communities the most. We're just like, you know, I know some lawyers, but it's a criminal lawyer. He has nothing. He doesn't even know what a cap table is. So, you know, I think that's step one. And make sure that your documents are straight and that you're consulting from an individual who knows what a good deal and a bad deal is. You know, and I think from there you'll be able to make the correct decisions. But I think that's step one.
So everything Travis said, and then the only other thing I will add, because he referenced, you know, the relationship between you and I think that Travis would agree that most of my portfolio, well, all of my portfolio companies, they want to make sure I'm on the board and an advisor because I am a founder-friendly investor, and we're not changing that for anything. So we're there to actually protect the founder and the company from in its original state. So, and every company is different, and it truly is led by a legal team.
Is this mic on? Yep. Hi. So we talked a lot about raising money, and the sessions have been about raising money. And the challenge with the Black community is that we feel that we need to raise money, get into debt in order to run a business. And then sometimes we don't think about whether or not we have a good business. And so within the community, in the VC community, a lot of our our non-Black counterparts have access to education, have access to acceleration and incubation to help them build great companies. So can you explain the differences and the things that we should be thinking about in terms of being quick to try to raise money and not really thinking about what we need to know about our business to grow our business, to eventually raise money? And what are the access to resources and education opportunities for us to learn how to build great companies?
I'll start quickly. I think that one, there's a lot of resources, and I think you guys should definitely be connecting amongst each other to figure out what those resources are here in Miami. Every city is different, but I know there's a couple of people in the room that I know. You know, we got Brian. No, Brian was over here. Then we got my man Derek over here. That I know. I don't even live in Miami, but I know that the work that you guys are putting in here, and also your wife, Felicia, right? And you know, I want to make sure that you guys know about some of the resources that are already here. Separately from that, you know, you want to do as much as you possibly can before you bring in money. You know, investors like to say, I'll just give you a quick story, you know, I won't talk too long on this, but you know, I had this idea for my company, and it took me about 1.5 years to muster up enough strength and courage to leave my cushy job where I was making very nice money and living very comfortably. And I thought that I had this really good idea, and I would go pitch investors like a Shark Tank, and they would say, it's a great idea, we're gonna just give you millions of dollars, and then I'm gonna quit my job, and then everything's gonna be smooth sailing. It doesn't work like that. You know, I would go pitch this company, and then I would get to an investor, and they would ask me one question, and that question would be, are you full-time on this? And when I would say no, they would politely tell me to let me know when I'm serious, and I would get no money. And I spent about 1.5 years doing that. It didn't take It took that long to kind of muster up the strength to understand that if I don't do this, if I don't put my all into this, no one else is going to believe in what it appears that I don't believe in myself. Because if I'm waiting for you to believe in me first, then it doesn't make sense for me to give you money. So, with that said, you have to show people that you're all in. And I'm not telling you all to go quit your job tomorrow, by the way. What I'm telling you is to plan for it. Have a plan to get you to that next point of where this is the business that you're working on day in and day out. And I will let you know that when you do start your company, you're going to work a hell of a lot more than you did when you worked for someone else. Everyone has this misconception of, if I work for myself, I'm going to get up when I want to. I'm going to spend the day the way I want to. I'm going to go to sleep when I want to. I'm going to take this midday nap or work out in the middle of the day. It doesn't work like that either. I work way more now than I've ever worked in my life. But it's worth it, to me. So, my ultimate advice would be, one, reach out to the individuals who are already here that can help you. And Brian, you're doing multiple things, so Brian is definitely a good person to contact. But on the flip side of that, make sure that you're actually putting in everything that you can first into your business before you ask someone else to contribute to it.
So I'll just add that, in Miami, first of all, Black Tech Week, what they're doing with Black Tech Week is amazing, okay? And I've been to it a couple of times, and I always keep it real. It appears sometimes that the founders are more interested in what the drinks are being served than actually who's in the room and the conversations and the execution, right? Because I'm more about the execution of things, the execution side. So I would say, first of all, challenge yourself as a founder to see really what the priorities are. There's Venture Cafe. I always encourage people to contact the Small Business Association. They're a great free resource to at least navigate through some of the basic things that you would normally have to pay for from a consulting perspective. So I would definitely, look at what Black Tech Week has to. They have a building here that is, I'm assuming, is running all the time. It's not just during that 1 week. So that's a great, great resource. Venture Cafe is great. I'm going to call out Kimberly back there, who's doing some great things from the angel side and just trying to be resourceful. Brian and Candace. We have a community here. It's more about being willing to ask and just really know what is available.
Monique, at one point, you published a book, correct?
Not my own book, but yes, I have a publishing deal. Yes.
Were you at Summit? Do you remember, not Summit, Platform in Atlanta? So one of the questions, the reason why I'm asking, framing it that way, is there's an event where almost everybody I know in the tech community, I pretty much met at Platform. And that was in Atlanta. Went there for 2 years. And there was definitely a sense of urgency and a sense of collaboration. In a city that has a lot of micro pockets, that doesn't seem to have a strong sense of collaboration, what do you see as a tool or a way to bring this city together so they understand the importance of collaboration to build each other and not just to build self?
So I think we're sitting right here in a room where the founders of Black Men Talk Tech are actually saying, here's a resource right here. I think that what Felicia and Derek are doing with the, Black Tech Week, I think that, so here's the thing. Science says we're like the sum of the 5 people we spend our time with, right? I would challenge you all to change the 5 or the 10 or the 15. I think that it starts with us individually. I think that when I want something, if I'm in a circle that can't support it, I'm actually changing the circle. I'm not waiting for the circle to find me. I'm going to get exactly what I'm looking for, but I'm going to put the energy into doing it. Does that help? Because there's a lot of people who want to collaborate.
Yeah, my name is Jamarla Martin. I got a question for both of you. Can you advise the entrepreneurs in the room about having a good idea, but not overstretching it to fit VC economics, where a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people will have good ideas, but they stretch their business to make it fit for the boom or bust VC model where it needs to become a billion-dollar business. Can you talk about not overstretching your business model to make it fit for a VC?
Yeah, I think that's what I was kind of referencing earlier today, right? Like this whole A to Z, and people only see that unicorn concept, which is a very problematic system to begin with. But I think that as a business owner, you need to feel comfortable in knowing it's okay to own a small business, and make it a profitable business. And then consider how you're going to scale it larger if that's the direction for it. But I think that trying to exaggerate a business model is going to hurt you. I think that one of the largest examples that we've seen recently was the whole Elizabeth Holmes. I mean, listen, do not try to make something work that is not working, right? Be smart, be honest with yourself. Travis, as an investor, I have great trust. We have relationships. And so a founder can call me and talk to me about the truth, what the problem is in the business. And we can be honest about how we're going to solve it. But we're not thinking about it from the perspective of how do I get it to the Silicon Valley method. And by the way, that's a horrible method. I don't invest in Silicon Valley companies, okay? Because what are we reaching for? Are we reaching to be accepted again by one system? That's a problem, okay? Who is anyone to say that our millions of dollars of companies aren't worth anything unless Silicon Valley? And by the way, it's not just one investor. They have a system there. They are taking those top 20 VCs and they are all investing, and they are creating this concept of the unicorn company. We all need to understand that as well as you're thinking about VC world. I hate that we actually had to add the word venture on the back of. I represent nothing of the VC world except for the process of due diligence. I do not believe that the system that was set up was designed for anybody else to win. So I guess we have to be called VCs, but I call myself an investor and a person who's an innovator and a believer in our culture.
Yeah, I would echo that. But there's a lot of individuals who do succumb to that, which is why I was saying just because you have a startup doesn't mean that you have a tech company. I mean, you look at WeWork, right? You look at all of the issues that they're having right now, but it's a bad business model. But they turned that into this big conglomerate because that's where they were, and that's how they got billions of dollars. They raised billions of dollars, but it's not a tech company. It's really a real estate play, if anything, but it's a bad real estate play. So I mean, we're seeing a company that's losing, I think it was like $220,000 an hour. Like that's crazy. Or was it a minute? I don't know. It was a big number. But largely, I think that it's like Monique said, I think it's fine to have a small business. I think that we need to have more small businesses, more medium-sized businesses. We talk about the concept of recreating Black Wall Street. I hear these different conversations across the country. Well, you don't recreate a Black Wall Street if every company is a billion-dollar company. It doesn't exist. You still need the dry cleaner. You still need the dentist office. You still need the car wash. You still need the accounting firm, etc. So that's okay. You can have a very comfortable life having a small and medium-sized business, and I think that we need to have real conversations with ourselves and real conversations with others when they pitch you an idea that is not a billion-dollar company, and you need to give people real feedback. I think that we shy away from giving people the honest truth, and you're like, yeah, man, you could do that. I think that's a billion-dollar company. And then as soon as he walks out the room, you're like, yo, that shit ain't gonna work. And with that's we have to stop doing that, and I think that's really important.
We have one last question. I think we're running up on time. This gentleman's been waiting patiently.
Yeah, I'll be brief. And I want to ask you that question since she's right there next to you. She's mentioned a few times that she is a founder-friendly investor. I would like to know a specific incident besides money that you can reference as how she's been able to help you grow your business.
And her name is Miss Monique Idlett.
Miss Monique, yeah. Excuse me.
So I called Monique. The company was, I spent some time in Cincinnati. I actually built this company in Cincinnati. And I recall a time where, you know, my wife was still living in New York because she refused to move to Cincinnati. I started to build this company in Cincinnati and build a team. And we got into Techstars, which was an accelerator in Kansas City, of all places. But I had just decided that I was moving the company to LA, and I had just got an LA place. And I'm between LA, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and New York on a weekly basis. And I called her and I said, you know, there's a lot of things that aren't working. I think that there's some people on the team that aren't the right fit. And I think that there's some things that we need to focus on before we can actually go raise another round. And she said, Travis, I feel like you're all over the place. This is actually before I even told her. I think you're all over the place, and I think that, you know, we need to spend some time together where we go through everything and we kind of map out what the next, you know, year looks like for you. And I want you to fly down to Miami, and we're gonna sit on the floor and we're gonna map everything out. And we did that. You know, I had my co-founder come down, and we spent a few days, you know, actually going through everything where I could be vulnerable and honest enough with her to say, hey, I'm dealing with some issues. And she was real enough or authentic enough to, one, not judge me, but then to also say, hey, you know, I'm here to help you get through this. So, you know, there's many investors who are on my cap table now. I wouldn't say many. There's a few that I know I couldn't do that with. And that's where you have to be strategic with who you take money from. Now, I think that that other investor who may not sit down on the floor with me would get in the trenches with me in a different way. But, you know, Monique, with her personal time and her schedule is out of this world, you know, that I value that a lot. And I think that's a founder-friendly investor. Thank you. No, you can use the mic for that.
Oh, and also I see. Solo Funds is absolutely one of my favorite companies because it's actually addressing predatory lending, which has hurt our community in particular in a horrific way. And so when you're solving that type of problem, not only is it, as an investor, do you see the potential in the return, but the bigger return is the impact that it does for our communities. But I do have to say, I do see one of my other favorite companies in here too, Eric from Creator App. So, yeah.